Yesterday, I received a message from one of you girlies on my Instagram that really truly stuck with me. It said, "I'd love to be a minimalist, but it feels impossible while living a normal life. Like, how do we even do it without becoming a monk or a digital nomad?" I really felt that. I feel like when we scroll through social media, there is 3 types of minimalists. First of all, it's the spiritual one, the one who are, like very like a monk, these Japanese people, which are amazingly adorable, but it's just not realistic for many of us. Secondly, we have these frugal minimalists that counts all their belongings like it would be like a survival challenge. And then thirdly, we have the digital nomads, which can be so freeing, amazing to travel the world with your backpack. But again, it's not realistic for most of us. But what about the rest of us? The ones who live a normal life, who have families, social life, a dog, whatever. I can tell you guys, I live in the exact same world than you do. I'm also surrounded by, trends, lots of fashionable people and this constant marketing pull that wants you to pull in. And I found a way to actually make it happen. So this is what I'm going to share with you guys in today's video. Now, first thing we have to talk about, obviously, it's living with less, because in the end, that's the essence of minimalism. Now, why should you even be living with less? What's the clue? Like, why do people do it? The thing is, once you live with less, you will get so much more clarity and focus and actually having time and energy to do the things that you really truly want to do, okay? That's basically what it is. You will not be stressed and hunted with your to-do list all the time, because you actually do have time for all your things. It will give you freedom, clarity, this inner calmness. Now, when it comes to decluttering and actually living with less, most people do it so wrong. Because minimalism, it's not about the things you don't own, but it's about the things that you do actually own and that you love. So, the first thing in living with less is that you have to start focusing on the things you love. So, if you want to start decluttering, don't go to the wardrobe or to your kitchen cupboard and think, "Oh, this I don't like, let's put it away." No. Find the things that you actually do love. That's the first fact in living with less. You have to find the things that you actually do love. Now, what about the rest of the things? Do we have to put it away in the garbage bag and throw it? No, we don't have to. First of all, decluttering needs time, okay? If you want to live with less, you have to also take the time to then declutter your stuff. But you don't have to do this right now. You can actually start by just putting the stuff away, okay? You just put it away and you live with the things that we found in the first point that you actually love. Now, what I then recommend is something called agile decluttering. It comes from project management. I do work in project management, and I feel like that's just the better way to declutter. Because if you do it all at once, most of the time we don't even know us good enough in order to do that. You will declutter stuff, then you later need again, and it brings you in this very toxic cycle. So what we do here, and what I also teach on my ebook, if you wanted to have a step-by-step guide, I can link you guys that down below. It's actually very good. It took me a lot of time to find out this technique and to actually write it down for you guys. So the ebook is linked down below on how to properly declutter. But the basis of it is that you have to do it in an agile way. What does this mean? I personally have my 555 cleaning system, and in there is each day from Monday to Friday 15 minutes where I declutter. Even me, as someone who lives a minimalist lifestyle, it's still some little paper that clutter up or things like that. Now, why do I recommend it like that? Because if you do it in smaller steps, it's actually manageable. Because most of us, we don't have this capacity to do it all at once, So we need it in smaller steps. For example, you have 15 minutes. I have a lot of checklists, what you can do in these 15 minutes in my ebook. You take this time and you start with this, this drawer that was, we all have this drawer, this one drawer that you just put in everything, okay? And this drawer, you can actually declutter it in 15 minutes. or like your I don't know, your pens or your socks, whatever, you know, in 15 minutes it's actually manageable. And the thing is, you cannot do this only once, okay? You have to do it consistently. You have to have a goal in mind. You kind of created that goal, right? At point number 1, we found out what we love. Now we can go through the other stuff and slowly and step by step get rid of it. And that, you guys, is how you live with less. It's very, very simple. How you live with less is that you first find out what you truly love, then you put that stuff away, and you slowly and steady create these habits, you know? Decluttering, it's like a habit. It's like cleaning. We do it. It's our essence, our personality, you know? And that, you guys, is step number 1, how you live with less. The next thing we do have to talk about is conscious consumption, okay? You have to learn how to be a conscious consumer. Now, I want to make it very clear from now on. I'm not talking about no buy. I used to recommend no buy, but what I have learned now is that no buy, for many people, it just leads to overconsumption, okay? You can think of it as if someone who's on a diet and then eats the whole bag of chips. I see it, I've seen some YouTubers also who talk about how they had this shopping addiction and then they do no buy. And what you can see on their channels is that they really go off and on. You know, they say, okay, I've done no buy, but now I've done on overconsumption. So we're not talking about that here. We are talking about conscious consumption. Okay, we have to learn that step by step. Maybe there is some fallback sometimes. It can happen to all of us, okay? But here is how you can do it. The first thing that will help you is that you implement a wish list system. You stop instantly buying stuff in order to be a conscious consumer. You can screenshot that item, you can just take the link, put it to your Apple Notes, etc. And then you wait and you see how your wishes kind of transform. You know, you document your wishes. If that one thing always comes up, you can think about buying. But first, we do step number 2 in order to be a conscious consumer. Because most of the time, we have someone in our life who maybe has a similar item. Let's say you want to have this kitchen tool. Can't you just ask your friend first if you can borrow it? If you cannot borrow it, maybe can you make a cooking night together? You know, that's such a fun activity and you can actually test that then out. And then the third way on your way to be a conscious consumer is that you really learn how to shop. Now, I personally don't really recommend online shopping that much. If you really take the measurement, if you really find good brands, you can absolutely do it. But if you want to be a more conscious consumer, I also recommend you guys to go more in store. You know, in the end, you can still buy it online, but first go to a store and actually try that on. Let's say you want a white linen pants, okay? And you see it online, looks very good on the model. Do you actually know if it looks good on you, or does it just look good on that very skinny, trained 18-year-old model, okay? That's the thing we want to find out. So we go to a store, we try it on. Do you want to have it low waist, high waist, whatever? You know, you have to try certain options. And then you think about buying. And this is the way you actually learn about yourself. You learn what brands suit you, you learn what styles suit you, you know, and you will be very happy with it more on the long term. And now I have a question for you girls. Have you already tried to be a more conscious consumer? And what are like the challenges that you girls are facing? Please let me know down in the comments or reach out to me on my Instagram DMs. I always love to chat with you girls. The third thing we have to talk about in order to be a realistic minimalist, it's experiences. Now, I hear you girls. Thank you, Carmen, for this tip. We've never read about, you know, less things, more experiences, okay? But we really, truly have to talk about it. How can we actually do that? But first, let's start with the why. Why is experiences so important? Okay, it's very easy actually. At one point in your life, you will think back on your life. Maybe more often, but you will think back of your life. And the problem is, if you only focus on things, you don't really have great memories, I'm gonna tell you. And you can tell me as long as you want that, this Chanel bag is gonna give you great memories. Yes, but just in combination with experiences, okay? I don't think you will think of your dusty Chanel bag in the cupboard and think, oh my gosh, I had such a great life, okay? But as human, we love to be social, to experience things, to talk about things, to share. That's why we are here, right? That's why social media is so popular, because we love to share. And that's why experiences is so important. Now, how can you actually do that? Because the thing is, when we think about these less things, more experiences, the one picture that pops up in my head is, again, these digital nomads, who travel the world, who see everything. But that's not realistic, okay? We have to make it realistic. The first thing I had to learn in order to welcome more experiences in my life is that it's not about these big experiences, okay? We don't have to climb the mountains. It's about these micro moments, okay? You can have more experiences in micro moments. I give you an example. My husband and I, we started to really, truly savor every sunrise that we can experience here in the South of France. We look at it. We look at all the colors. How does it look like? But also, how does it feel for us? The warmth on our skin, this calm feeling, just really, truly savoring it. And since we do that, we created such an amazing memory, because whenever we are not here, we talk about it, and we can talk about it because we actually notice the colors, the feelings, These micro moments is what I talk about when I talk about experiences, okay? And then the second thing I learned in order to create better memories, to have these experiences, and that helped me to live a more minimalist life, but realistic, is that I had to be more proactive. I was very passive with my social connections. I kind of waited until someone reached out to me, and then I didn't really have time. But I had to learn to be more proactive. I do now see, okay, what do I have this year? How is my year going to look like? Where do I need a break? Where do I need a small break? And it doesn't have to be big holidays, But I just try to be very proactive and to actually make time for it, because in the end, we all have some time if you plan very properly our life, okay? I used to be overwhelmed with all my tasks, so then I didn't really allow myself to have breaks, and then, people reached out to me, wanted to do something with me, but then I couldn't, okay? You have to plan your life and be very proactive, and then you have something that you can look forward to, I have now things in my life that I'm so happy for it, and now I also, when I have times like now where I study a lot, where I work a lot, it's fine, because there will be times where I can have these experiences, okay? To be proactive. And then thirdly, what I had to change in order to have more experiences in my life is that I actually try new things, okay? And here again, it doesn't have to be crazy. You can go to a new supermarket and buy new foods, and test that out. That is something, for example, also as a micro moment, I really love, because that is something that I talk about, I remember this was a bad experience, but I can still tell it to you. I always like to try new recipes, and I once made this dessert with blue spirulina in it. And I brought it to my friend's house, and we still joke about it nowadays, because it was horrible. This dessert, it was horrible. It tasted like algae, and it was blue, and whenever we talk about how someone compliments me on how I'm a good chef, then my friends start laughing and say, yeah, as long as she doesn't bring blue dessert, okay? It's a memory, it's a micro moment, it's testing new things that created a memory. And this is the kind of things I talk about. Try new things, it will really help you out. Okay, now let's think back to that initial message. Minimalism, it's only for frugal people or like monks or digital nomads. It's not, right? I just show you guys how you can do it in a realistic way. You just have to own less, and we do that by focusing on the thing we love, and then slowly you will easily let go of the rest. We do that by being a conscious buyer, and we do that by learning about our buying habits and actually optimizing them. And again, focusing on the things we want and we love, and not doing this no buy, purge and binge diet. And then the third thing is that we have to focus on experiences. I told you guys why, because we want to create amazing memories. That's what we want to create. And yeah, you guys are ready. You can now also be a minimalist in your normal life in a realistic way. Bye!